We live in an era where cheating has become simultaneously easier and more destructive than ever before. Never in human history has it been so effortless to start an affair, and never has it been so difficult to keep it a secret. But why? Despite the catastrophic risks, the loss of family, the trauma inflicted on children, the destruction of reputation, the erasure of decades of shared history, do people continue to cross that line? Today, we are not here to preach morality. We are not here to divide the world into villains and victims, because life is rarely that black and white. Instead, we are going down the rabbit hole of the human psyche to understand the anatomy of betrayal. We are going to deconstruct the pain down to the atomic level and attempt to answer the most terrifying question of all. Is it possible to reassemble yourself after your world has been shattered into 1,000 pieces? This is not a conversation about sex. This is a conversation about longing, about power, about secrets, and about the desperate search for the self. Welcome to the anatomy of betrayal. Part 1. The myth of the bad marriage. The psychology of the betrayer. Let's begin by dismantling the biggest misconception we hold about infidelity. We are conditioned to think, if a person cheated, things must have been bad at home. Or, if he truly loved her, he wouldn't have looked at another woman. Or, if she was happy, she wouldn't have strayed. This is a comfortable lie. It gives us an illusion of control. It makes us believe that if we are just perfect enough, fit enough, or attentive enough, we can vaccinate our relationships against betrayal. But statistics and leading relationship psychologists like Esther Perel tell us a very different, much more uncomfortable truth. People cheat even in happy marriages. People cheat even when they love their partners deeply. Why? Because very often, the affair has absolutely nothing to do with the partner. It has everything to do with the person cheating. Imagine a person who has been married for 10 or 15 years. Let's call him John. John is a responsible father, a reliable husband, a dedicated employee. He fulfills every role society has assigned to him perfectly. But inside, there is a quiet, growing panic. A voice that whispers at 3 a.m. Is this it? Is this all there is? Will I never feel the thrill of a first kiss again? Am I just going to die being a good provider and nothing else? For people like John, an affair is not a search for a different person. It is a search for a different self. In the arms of a lover, they are not looking for better sex, though that is part of the allure. They are looking for a version of themselves that they lost along the way. The version that was young, carefree, desired, dangerous, and alive. It is a rebellion against mortality. It is a rebellion against the boredom of stability. It is a paradox that is hard to swallow. A person can love their spouse, yet cheat on them to feel alive again. Is it selfish? Absolutely. Is it destructive? Without a doubt. But it is deeply human. We often confuse the need for novelty with the loss of love. The betrayer isn't necessarily saying, I want to leave you. They are saying, I want to leave the person I have become while being with you. Part 2. The digital architecture of lies. We must acknowledge that technology has fundamentally changed the landscape of betrayal. 30 years ago, to cheat, you had to leave the house. You had to find a payphone. You had to physically erase lipstick from a collar. It required logistical effort and physical absence. Today, infidelity lives in your pocket. It hides behind Face ID and encrypted chats. We have entered the era of the micro-cheating economy. Dating apps, vanishing messages on Telegram or Snapchat, the archive folder in WhatsApp. You can now commit a profound betrayal while lying in bed next to your spouse, with the blue light of your screen illuminating your face. This new reality has birthed a phenomenon known as micro-cheating, a like on an ex's photo at 1 a.m., a fire emoji reaction to a story, a conversation that you claim is just friendly, yet you delete the history immediately after. Where is the line? The line is secrecy. Betrayal is constructed from three distinct elements: secrecy, emotional involvement, and sexual alchemy. You don't need to have physical contact to destroy a marriage. The secrecy alone is the cancer. The smartphone has become the third wheel in our bedrooms. It provides a dopamine hit that a long-term partner cannot compete with. A notification from a secret lover is a drug. It is a promise of adventure in the middle of a gray, mundane Tuesday. The phone becomes a portal to a fantasy world where you are a hero, a seductress, or a god, not a tired parent worried about mortgage rates. But here's the irony. The device that enables the affair is almost always the weapon that reveals it. Most modern affairs are not uncovered by private investigators or catching someone in the act. They are uncovered by a synced iCloud account, a notification popping up on a family iPad, a shared Uber ride history, or a forgotten password. The digital footprint is indelible. And when a partner stumbles upon it, the shock is visceral. It is a modern horror story told in screenshots. Part 3. The tsunami, the psychology of the victim. Let's shift our focus to the person standing in the crater of the explosion. The betrayed. In modern psychology, the reaction to discovering infidelity is increasingly classified as PISD, post-infidelity stress disorder, a form of PTSD. This is not an exaggeration. The symptoms are identical to those of soldiers returning from combat or victims of physical assault. What happens to the human brain when you discover you've been betrayed? Your world fractures. Your memory, your autobiography, is suddenly rewritten without your consent. You look at a photo from a family vacation 2 years ago. You see your spouse smiling at you. But now you know that during that trip he was texting her. So, was that smile a lie? Was the happiness I felt a delusion? Who was I in this movie? Was I the lead character, or was I just the fool? This is the loss of identity. I thought I was the beloved wife. It turns out I was just the obstacle. Following the shock comes a phase psychologists call the detective. The betrayed partner becomes obsessed with details. They need to know everything. Where did you take her? Is she prettier than me? Did you tell her you loved her? Did you do that with her? Why do we do this? It feels like masochism, twisting the knife in our own wound. But it isn't. It is the brain's desperate attempt to regain control over reality. The human brain cannot handle gaps in information. It needs to construct a complete narrative, even if that narrative is excruciatingly painful. But there is another layer to this pain: gaslighting. Very often, before the truth comes out, the betrayer spends months or years convincing the partner that they are crazy. You're being paranoid. She's just a colleague. You're insecure. When the truth is finally revealed, the victim realizes, I was right all along. My intuition was screaming, and he made me believe I was insane. This is a double betrayal. It is a betrayal of the body and a betrayal of the mind. The physical symptoms are debilitating: insomnia, nausea, uncontrollable tremors, panic attacks that feel like heart attacks. The person cannot eat. They cannot work. It is a state of acute, burning grief that has no closure, Because the person you need comfort from is the very person who pulled the trigger. Part 4. The Dilemma of Forgiveness, Why We Stay. Society dictates a very rigid rule for us. Once a cheater, always a cheater. If they betray you, leave. Have some self-respect. If you decide to stay, you will be judged. Your friends will say you are weak. Your family will say you are a fool. The internet will tell you to burn it all down. But reality is far more complex than a Reddit comment section. Life is an intricate web. There are children involved. There is a home you built together. There are shared finances, decades of history, inside jokes, illness and health, and love. Yes, love does not die the moment the knife enters the back. It bleeds, but it doesn't vanish instantly. The paradox is that for many couples, the affair becomes the death of their first marriage. The question then becomes, would you like to build a second marriage with this same person? Staying requires a strength that leaving does not. Leaving is hard, but staying is a daily war. It requires the betrayer to do something most people are incapable of: brutal honesty. They must become an open book. No passwords, no secrets, total transparency. They must hold space for the victim's pain without getting defensive. They must answer the same question, why, 500 times, until the victim no longer needs to ask it. For the victim, staying means living with a ghost. You will never trust blindly again. That blind trust is gone forever. Now you trust with your eyes open. You trust, but you verify. Some couples who survive this hell say their relationship became stronger, deeper, and more honest than before. Why? Because the mask is off. The illusion of perfection is gone, and for the first time, they are dealing with the messy, ugly, raw truth of who they are. But let's be clear. Forgiveness is not amnesia. You do not forget. You just learn to carry the memory without letting it crush you. Part 5. The Children in the Crossfire. We cannot discuss this anatomy without looking at the collateral damage, the children. Parents often think, we won't tell the kids, they won't know. Children always know. They may not know the specifics. They may not know about the texts or the hotels, but children are emotional Geiger counters. They sense the shift in the atmosphere. They feel the coldness between mom and dad. They hear the hushed arguments behind closed doors. They feel the tension at the dinner table that is thick enough to choke on. When the truth comes out, or when the divorce happens, the child's world also collapses. But the damage goes deeper. We teach our children how to love by how we love each other. If a father cheats and the mother stays but lives in bitterness and resentment, the daughter learns that love means suffering. If a mother cheats and the family explodes into toxicity, the son learns that trust is dangerous. This is generational trauma. The betrayal of one generation becomes the attachment disorder of the next. The way you handle the aftermath, whether with dignity and healing, or with venom and revenge, will define how your children form relationships for the rest of their lives. Conclusion. The new normal. So, where does this leave us? If you are the one who betrayed, you have broken something that cannot be fixed with an apology. You have murdered the innocence of your relationship. If you want to fix it, you must be willing to bleed for it. You must understand that your partner is in mourning, and you are the cause of the death. If you are the one who was betrayed, you are currently walking through hell. But listen to this. You are not defined by this betrayal. Their choice to cheat was not a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their brokenness. You will put yourself back together. The pieces will be glued differently. You will have scars. You will be harder, wiser, and perhaps a little sadder. But you will be whole again. Infidelity is a window into the darkest and most complex parts of the human condition. It forces us to confront our fears of abandonment, our need for validation, and our capacity for cruelty. But it also tests our capacity for resilience. Whether you leave or whether you stay, the goal is the same: to find the truth, to heal the wound, and to eventually slowly learn to trust life again. Because the only thing worse than a heart that has been broken is a heart that has turned to stone.